So, weapon augments are kind of boring, and I'm really ashamed that there hasn't been any change from Monster Hunter World with regards to the augmenting. I don't know how augmenting was in previous games, or even if it was a thing at all, but I was hoping to see some kind of change with regards to augmenting in this game. And the thing is, they already have something that they could do to um, make augments more unique, and essentially, they would have to change how weapons function, right? Because you see weapons that have elements, right? Water, ice, fire, thunder, and you also have different elemental effects, right? So you can inflict monsters with water blight, fire blight, thunder blight, those kinds of things, right? With a different endemic life around the map, um, or the beetles on the map that you can ram monsters into, that kind of thing, right? And to my knowledge, you weren't able to do that really in Monster Hunter World, which, I think is really cool that you can do that now. But the problem is that you can't inflict any of those blights on monsters with any weapons, right? Which is extremely disappointing. And another thing that makes it even more disappointing is that you have rampage decorations, right? That improve damage against monsters that are afflicted with certain blights. And they're all but useless, right? Pretty much the only one worth using is Wyvern Exploit. That's basically it. Maybe some of these other ones, but Wyvern Exploit is pretty much the go-to, right? And you have the ability to inflict monsters with blights. You don't put it on weapons, but then you make decorations to improve damage against monsters that have blights with them, but you don't have any way of doing it without endemic life around. So, to me, that's kind of dumb, and I think that you should be able to inflict elemental blights. Just make it an augment, right? Allow me to go into augmenting, and maybe have it take up 2 or 3 slots, and let me select an option to inflict whatever kind of blight that my weapon's element does, right? Using an ice switch axe right now, I should be able to inflict ice blight on monsters if I have that augment equipped. And then what they can do after that is they can buff these, right? They can increase the damage that these do a lot more, and to make certain weapons a bit more balanced, like water weapons. Well, I mean, water weapons are kind of weak. We don't really have any good ones, so I don't really see why they would have to change them. But if they didn't want them to be too strong, they could reduce the effect that water blight causes, because water blight, improves your damage against monsters. I think it lowers their defense or something. I'm not sure exactly what it does, but I know that it allows you to do more damage to monsters, right? And so they could just lower that a little bit, and then make the water blight rampage decoration do more, right? So you could buff all of these, maybe lower the effect that the actual blights cause, and then so that way it doesn't matter. You can just, there isn't going to be one type of elemental weapon that is better than the other because of the type of effect that it causes, right? Like Thunder Blight makes monsters stun easier, and, it would be really cool to be using a Thunder weapon and then cause Thunder Blight, and then get a stun because of that, right? Or with, a water weapon, causing Water Blight and doing more damage. You know, And so I think that's a really big missed opportunity in Sunbreak. And I hope that they do something like that, because once again, I really do think that that would be a pretty nice change for Augments. It would make them a lot more interesting, for sure. I mean, most people are probably just going to spec into damage anyways. So why not give another route of going into damage, right? You would just be going about it in a somewhat roundabout way. But at the end of the day, it would improve the amount of damage you're doing, right? So I definitely think that that's something that they could add to make augments a bit more interesting, and also give weapons that don't really have a really good place right now. They don't have, like, water elements, doesn't really have a good weapon right now. You know, all of the water weapons kind of suck, which is unfortunate, right? But this would help with pretty much all weapons, like Dragon Element, inflicting Dragon Blight on monsters, which I don't even know if there is a thing like that. Although there probably should be. But, you know, I really do want to see some type of change with that. So once again, it would be really nice to inflict these blights on monsters without having to, you know, search around for endemic life, or, you know, go ahead and hit beetles on walls so you can change them into the right element and then smash the monster into it, you know, that kind of thing. Like, that's an even more roundabout way of doing what I want. Just let me cause elemental blights to monsters with my own weapons, and then let me put the Rampage decoration that improves my damage when I do that. Right? Just buff these, put an augment in here that lets you cause elemental blight. You could make it expensive, I don't care. It could cost 4 or 3, whatever. You know, and just let me do that, and that would be a lot more interesting than literally just going for attack boost 6. Alright. Because I'm at the Anomaly Investigation 103 is where I'm at now. And I've been doing Anomaly quests, and I'm just like, why am I bothering? You know, it's like, why even am I doing this? I do enough damage, obviously. I've gotten this far. Why do I need to spec into attack boost, right? Why do I need to bother grinding for all the materials to get attack boost when I don't even really need it? You know? So it's really kind of annoying. And there isn't anything interesting either, right? Like, with Affinity Boost as well, it just doesn't do enough. Like, I want to be able to use this, right? As, you know, with the Affinity Boost, it's -10, but without it, it's -15. Like, can we please, like, improve the amount it gives you to 10%? So that way I'm only at -5, and then I can just add in, like, a few points of Critical Eye to be at 0. Right? But, you know, there are just a lot of things that I don't really care for with regards to augmenting. I do think that the system is kind of boring, and, you know, it's just grinding for minimal changes in damage, basically. So, I don't know. It doesn't really seem all that worth it to me now that I've made it to, you know, the hundreds. And then just to think that there's, you know, like, I don't know, 17 more levels to this thing, because there's it goes up to 120. So it's just, I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it, but anyways, that's all.